Today we're talking about chroma key, aka the green screen. Chroma key is a technique used for compositing two images or video streams together based on color. It's probably easier if we just think about what happens when we use one. Usually the most basic way we can think about it is we can take that green background and we can replace it with whatever we want, right? So we can replace it with some image, so we can change the background into some place that's not accessible to us. Or we can use it for, we can overlay that instead of a still image in the background, just replacing what the background is, we can replace it with other videos that we can potentially sort of virtually interact with, right? So chroma key technology allows us to interact or essentially just change anything that has this particular color, right? And one of the basic ways that we do this, and has been used probably the longest, is for meteorologists doing newscasts and weather reports and things like that, right? So the actual weatherman or weather person is going in front of a chroma key and then sort of superimposing these graphics and maps onto that space. Now, those graphics aren't being projected onto the wall. It's still just that green colored screen. And the actual talent has to look off screen onto a monitor that's showing what the actual content is that's being superimposed onto that sort of green background, and then has to be able to interact with it. So sometimes, like in this circumstance, you're actually able to see the content that you're interacting with by looking at an off-screen monitor or something like that. But other times you're maybe just taking direction from a director or a producer or something and sort of winging it a little bit, and to which something is going to be added in later, and you just have to go through the motions of acting like that. Now, one interesting thing to think about is why chroma key is normally considered green screen. Green screen or blue screen, those are the two different versions of this. So why those particular colors, and why those particular hues of those colors? Well, it's because you're less likely to match those colors with another real world object, because what would happen is, like, if this newscaster or weather person was wearing the same, like a jacket that was the same color as what was being chroma keyed, then the jacket would also disappear and be covered with whatever graphics are on there. So you have to choose the colors that are being keyed out, have to be ones that are relatively unusual to find on costumes or props that are going to be used to be filmed. So oftentimes we think of the green screen for that these days. So it's used in newscasts and meteorology and stuff, and of course it's been used in film production for a number of years. It gives us an opportunity to, again, remove the background, or also hide different props that are being used to do this. In this case, you can see like all the different production assistants that are using some form of fans or blowing wind against Superman here. And those won't come through the finished product because they can be keyed out just like that big green background there. So oftentimes we just think about the big wall that's going to be removed or replaced with some sort of background later, but it could also be props that are either or tools that are being used to film the scene as needed, but it might also be props that will then be replaced with CGI that looks a little bit different than the actual prop itself. Content creators, so I feel like it started off small, like the weather person, the meteorologist needing to use something like this. Then it goes to the big budget films. You've got like ginormous sets, and you're able to use chroma key in this very like grandiose kind of scale. But then we go backwards a little bit and then realize, well, we could use just these small setups. All you need is enough green or blue colored background that can be keyed out, and then we can crop images, and content creators use this stuff all the time. Right now I'm using a collapsible green screen behind me, and I just crop out the image, and it's simple for even just like the most basic YouTuber or something to do something like this. So it feels like the technology has sort of gone full scale, and that it started out small, got grandiose, and then kind of came back around. Only now, especially with maybe the most notable new development in this type of technology, is being used in Disney's The Mandalorian. So the competition for the green screen, or the chroma key, which has been a technology that's been around for a very long time now, is a series of LED screens that allows us to actually project the images of a high definition background or whatever it might be that your characters on a physical set need to interact with. So what's really cool about this, and what Disney has started to do with The Mandalorian, is have this almost 360-degree spherical silo of LED screens with high definition projection, and they're able to, digitally create these different environments for all these different planets that the Mandalorian goes to, and they can just project it right on these screens, and there's no need for chroma key. So not only do we not have to go through the actual chroma key process, but the actors themselves can actually visually see the environment to which they're, sort of supposed to be interacting with, as opposed to the chroma key version where you just sort of are being told by a director what the environment might be like, and you have to sort of react as if you're in that place. This allows the actors to actually feel like they're in that environment. It's actually, if you look into documentaries or behind the scenes looks at the production of The Mandalorian, the actual biggest trouble is actors running into the walls because they are so convinced that they're actually in the environment that is being represented by these LED screens. So this process is going to present some interesting challenges. There's going to be an evolution of the way media content is created because of this. It's not like chroma key is going to go away immediately or something, but this for high-profile projects, while this is still a relatively new technology, this is going to be the new method in which that type of work is done. But interestingly enough, it's going to sort of shift how the production sort of stages work, right? Because with a chroma key, there would have to be a lot of post-production. You'd have to key out, after filming, you'd have to key out all the green screen, and you'd have to replace with all this CGI or these like virtual backgrounds and things like that. But now, all that stuff needs to happen before. So you might create the environment to which an actor is supposed to interact with on this LED screen, but then you need to have almost like Photoshop people or color correction people deal with some of this stuff in real time or leading up to shooting, as opposed to all the post-production after. So I think what we might also start to see is a shift away from such heavy post-production to a little bit more of this pre-production planning, because you're able to actually film with the appropriate environment or background because of the LED screens. So there we go, a little introduction to chroma key. Thanks a lot for watching. See you next time.